This is the walkthrough video for PCTC 2021-2022 Round 1 Senior Mode. This is question 6, rock, paper, scissors. Okay, so essentially you need to simulate a game of rock, paper, scissors with some added complexity if there's a draw. So the very first thing to look at, as always, is to look at what inputs are we going to have. So we're always going to be given the two moves of Jake and then Serena. So let's say Jake's move, so JM, is going to be our first input, and our second input is going to be Serena's move, so it's SM. And I've got their two inputs. And this is where it starts getting more difficult, because there are two cases. So the first case is that there's a winner, that's it, we output the result. Second case is there's a draw. And if there's a draw, we have to then input even more numbers and play this funky dice roll game. So I think the case that's actually easy to detect is if there's a draw. So we'll do that first. And the reason that's so easy to detect is because if both of their moves are the same, then it's a draw. Okay, so if both of their moves are the same, then they both score 1 point. So we actually need to keep track of their points as well. Let's say, what's his name again? Jake's points is going to start off at 0. Serena's points is also going to start off at 0. And if they both make the same move, so if it's a draw, then they both get 1 added to their points. But then they also play this dice roll game. And the first person to roll the dice is Jake, and that gets added to his score. Second person to roll the dice is Serena, that gets added to her score. So we can say Jake's score is going to be equal to itself plus the next input, which is their dice roll, and the same idea for Serena's roll. Just making sure we turn those inputs into integers so that we can actually add them to the score. Okay, so if it's not a draw, then this case is going to be run, and we essentially need to detect who wins. So and again, there are two cases here. There's a case where Jake wins, and then there's a case where Serena wins. So in the case where, let's say Jake wins, there are going to be a series of if statements that we're going to write, and you'll see what I mean now. So if Jake's move was paper, and Serena's move was rock, then Jake is going to win. But there are other cases where Jake can win too. So let's put all of that in brackets and add an or, and have another set of brackets for another possibility of Jake winning, which is Jake playing rock and Serena playing, what would you play? You should play scissors, because rock smashes scissors. And there's a third and final case where Jake can also win. So that's going to be where Jake's move is going to be equal to scissors, and Serena's move is going to be equal to paper. So this is quite a long line, it's getting off the screen. But essentially, that's our if statement. So we're saying these are the three cases where Jake can win, and if any of these three cases occur, then we're going to run this if statement. And this if statement is just going to say Jake's score gets increased by 5. And if this isn't the case, then that must mean Serena would have won, and so Serena's score can get increased by 5. So we're kind of treating everything like a case. So there's this case and this case. Within that, there's this case and this case. And if we do that, we can kind of leverage that we can write one big if statement here, and that means our next statement can just be a really short else statement, because there are only two cases. So we can just check for one of them, and if it's not that one, then it must be the other. So we can just be nice and efficient and just write an else. Okay, and finally we need to output the result, and we want Jake's score first and then Serena's score. So because J and S, the variables, they're both numbers, and we can't print a number and then a string and then a number without any spaces between them. We have to use F strings. So we put the F before the string, and the first variable we want to put is J, so put that in curly braces. Then we want to print that hyphen, and then we want to print another variable S, so we also put that in curly braces. And if you submit this code, it should hopefully simulate this game correctly and get us the points. And it does. Excellent.